Making your way in the world today takes everything you've got. Taking a break from all your worries sure would help a lot. Wouldn't you like to get away? Sometimes you wanna go where everybody knows your name, and they're always glad you came. You wanna go where people know the people are all the same. You wanna go where everybody knows your name.
We are the ones who don't know what we're fighting for. Give us a gun and send us all off to war. We are the ones who grow up in violent homes. We are the ones who don't know what's right or wrong. I know. We are the ones who were born into war. We are the ones who just don't give a fuck no more. No more. We are the ones who don't know why we're losing score. Give them a badge so they could send us to the morgue. We are the ones who are scared to walk out the door. We are the ones who don't know what we're dying for. I know. We are the ones who were born into war. We are the ones who just don't give a fuck now. We are the ones who were born into war. We are the ones who just don't give a fuck no more. No. Get off his fucking neck. Oh, that makes you know he can't fucking breathe. So that makes you know we are the ones who were born into war. We are the ones who just don't give a fuck now. We are the ones who were born into war. We are the ones who just don't give a fuck no more. No.
This podcast features adult subject matter, adult language, and things not meant for children to hear. Viewer discretion is advised. You've been warned.
If it's Thursday, you'll turn to the only podcast that's ready to eat your children. We're going to fuck it till you love us. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of appropriate ages, to the latest episode of the I'm No Joke podcast, a show where every armchair quarterback can feel like Mike Tyson. Today, as like most days, I have got Slow Vape 420 and Call of Duty Vapes over here with me to help break down all the shit talking and the shenanigans, the fight announcements and the fuckery, all the interesting MMA news that just trickled out the pipeline since we saw you wonderful folks last. Before we get into all the fun and fuckery, though, first off, gentlemen, how the fuck you doing over there?
Happy fucking pre-Friday. It's Thursday. We're 2 days away from what could have been a great main event, but I'm just gonna say there's something quackers about it.
Ducks fly together.
Yeah, from what I've been hearing all week this week, all the friends, people at work, people are more excited for tomorrow night than giving a fuck about John Jones. So
Yeah.
this weekend might be a little rough in all honesty, but I'm here for it either way. Hopefully we see some fuckery, some bullshit for sure though.
Yeah, I definitely hear that, and I absolutely agree. There is definitely some fuckery potentially afoot this weekend. But that being said, we're going to dive right into it here. So, for those of you who don't know, we like to kick things off around here with a little bit of news and recent events, fight confirmations, fight cancellations, injury reports, things like that. Relevant news from the fight world across the globe we feel is relevant for you folks to be aware of in the coming week. As you may expect, we are starting off the very tip top with quite a bit of 309 news. But before we get into that, excuse me, we actually talked about this a little bit last week. I don't know if we talked about it a whole bunch on the show. I know we talked about it a lot off air, but one of the best, most prolific Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu practitioners in the world as of Friday evening is officially a free agent. Marcus Buchecha put on a hell of a fucking performance Friday night to officially end his one championship contract and enter free agency. Obviously, there's some talk there with him potentially staying since Ruger won the belt in a crazy fucking match against Anatoly Malikin. But he is officially a free agent. And based on how Rainer de Ritter did last weekend with his UFC debut, I've said it before and I'll say it again. I would not be surprised if we see Marcus Buchecha in the UFC in the next few weeks, if not first thing 2025. So definitely going to be keeping an eye on that because he, in my opinion, is one of the biggest free agent prospects in the combat sports world right now. So it's going to be very interesting to see if he stays at one or if he jumps ship like Rainer de Ritter did and makes his way over to the UFC to try and get a little bit of shine. Could be fun. So that being said, that'll bring us into the monster fucking insanity dump of news we've got that tie into this weekend's 309. So to start off with a little bit of lighthearted good news for a lot of us here, we got word, we talked about it last week, that Almeida was officially out against Onama for this weekend, but the MMA gods have smiled upon us, and David Onama is staying on the card. Newcomer Roberto Romero has stepped up on 5 days notice and will be making his UFC debut against David Onama this Saturday night. Very fucking cool. Hats off to both gentlemen. Like we always say, both fighters have to take a short notice fight. It's not just the one who was already on the card. You're adapting to somebody completely new on a couple days notice. So always stoked to see folks ready to step up and take those short notice fights. That being said, we've got a lot of not stepping up to take the fight to talk about this weekend. So, John, as you may expect, John Jones has been doing quite a bit of talking to the media with 309 coming up this Saturday. He started the week by saying in an interview, and I quote, "Tom is an asshole, and I'm not going to do any business with him. I don't feel he's deserving it, and I'm not going to do it." This, of course, was the morning after Dana White had gone to a press conference and said the winner of Saturday night will face Tom Aspinall next, regardless of who it is. So then John comes out and immediately says, "No, Tom's an asshole. I don't want to do business with him." We laugh. Dana confirms at the press conference this afternoon, the winner of Saturday night will face Tom Aspinall, which is extra ironic because just last night, John Jones did an interview where he was talking about he would be actually willing to drop the heavyweight belt after Saturday just to get a potential quote unquote BMF heavyweight fight against Alex Pereira rather than fighting Tom Aspinall, the interim champion who has now defended the interim champion more times than John has defended the actual belt total. Hasn't done anything and he's an asshole, doesn't deserve business, but John's willing to drop the belt now and potentially get that Alex Pereira fight.
Can we say chicken shit?
So this ties into two different factors here. One, I will give credit where credit is due. This is not my thought. This is Jed Meshu's thought. I heard him talking about it this afternoon, and it very much resonated true to me. If, and this is the world's largest fucking if this is really a long con game from John Jones to force the crowd to almost demand the Tom Aspinall fight just so that he can get that extra little cheddar, as a business decision, he's doing this absolutely correctly. On the other side of that coin, though, John has been out of commission for almost a year now and is literally saying flat out he refuses to fight the interim champion of his division, who has already defended that interim status while he has been away. A similar but not exact situation happened a few years back here in 2017 with Jermaine Durandamy when the UFC signed Cyborg. Jermaine Durandamy had refused to fight Cyborg for years prior to coming to the UFC, and when she came to the UFC, once again, she refused to fight Cyborg, and she said very plainly in no uncertain terms, Cyborg is a proven cheater. She has tested positive for steroids and been caught in the past, and she does not feel that it is deserving of someone who is a proven cheater to get an opportunity to fight her, so she will not fight her. The UFC subsequently stripped Jermaine Durandamy of her belt and released the following statement. And I want you all to listen very carefully to the exact verbiage that the UFC released in this statement. The UFC has informed Jermaine Durandamy and her management team that she is being removed as the women's featherweight champion due to her unwillingness to fight the #1 ranked contender. Subsequently, the top contender will now be facing a newly signed champion, Megan Anderson, at the time, for the now vacant UFC women's flyweight belt as the co-main of the upcoming pay-per-view. The UFC maintains that any champion is expected to accept fights against the top contenders in their respective weight classes in order to maintain the integrity of the sport. Think about those words very carefully, considering what John Jones literally just said into a fucking microphone 24 hours ago. This has not been pushed at all on John. He has been allowed to throw tantrums like a little kid and bitch and whine and flat out and say he will not fight the #1 contender. And yet the UFC has let him sit on the sidelines for almost a year injured and then ignored the current interim champion who has now defended that interim belt 2 fucking times in John's absence, and let John fight someone who has not had any fights whatsoever in 4 years for the title with no repercussions.
Also, he bitched out and didn't do an interview this week because he was worried they were going to ask about Tom Aspinall.
Well, that was the ironic part. He literally got up and walked out of one interview saying, I know how close you are to Tom, and I know that this interview will just be an Aspinall fest, and I'm not going to do that. Then he turned around 25 minutes later and sat down with the other host of that fucking podcast and did a 35-minute interview, and not one question about Tom Aspinall was asked. John is in his feelings big time this week, and I mean big time this week. John is all up in his fucking feelings. So
sounds like somebody has sand in his clam and is trying to make a pearl.
Yeah, he's trying real fucking hard. But the other half of this whole John having a bitch fit this week brings me to the next point that is tied to UFC 309 coming up this Saturday. He himself said multiple times in the last week during this whole media run coming up for 309, and then Dana himself came out and confirmed it this evening. Starting Saturday at UFC 309 and going forward in perpetuity until who fucking knows when, the quote unquote brand new, completely redesigned UFC gloves are out the fucking window. The gloves specifically designed to help stop eye pokes have been thrown out, and the old style gloves that allowed too many goddamn eye pokes are being brought back for John Jones's title defense fight.
He said it's permanent. He said the what did he say? The new gloves are now
The old gloves. Yes, they're done. They're just giving up and going right back to the thing that they admitted themselves was part of the fucking problem. Because John Jones and people like John Jones, who have a fucking Three Stooges habit, bitched and complained that they couldn't straighten their fingers out to do eye pokes.
All I can say is I hope it's instant fucking points for eye pokes from now on.
I was going to say, I hope there's no more hard warnings for eye pokes. It is just permanently, if you poke someone in the eye intentionally or unintentionally, you lose a fucking point every time it happens. 3 times, we're calling it a fucking DQ because you clearly can't control your weapons. That being said, we do have some interesting fight announcements moving forward here. We got the first official announcement for UFC 312 taking place February 8th down in Sydney, Australia. Jimmy Crute stepping back into the cage, taking on Marcin Prachnio. Definitely a fun fucking fight lined up there. And the other one announced for Sydney on February 8th, Ray Saruya versus Stuart Nickel. Up and coming prospect battles, local favorites, Stuart Nickel and Jimmy Crute fighting down in Sydney. A pair of good fucking fights for that 312 card lined up. Very nice, very happy to see that. The UFC has not released the locations or the dates for a lot of the 2025 dates just yet, but they are starting to announce some of them, obviously, with the 312 announcements here. The week after that, 2 weeks after that, February 22nd, still location TBD, main event TBD, but they're starting to add fights to that card. And the fight that they announced this afternoon is one Edson Barboza stepping back into the cage, taking on Steve Garcia, who has been on a hell of a fucking run lately as well. Very, very interesting fight. They're not doing Edson any favors on the tail end of his fucking career here, but he's also proven that he is more than capable and willing to turn away a lot of these fucking young prospects violently. So this one could go either way. Kind of an interesting matchup, in my opinion. I talked about it in our private fucking channel off air. They did this to me last year. They're apparently going to do it to me again next year. The UFC has officially announced that there will be a quote unquote prime time London Fight Night card on March 22nd from the O2 Arena. No fights have been announced whatsoever for it, just a confirmation that it will be a fight night and it will be at the O2 Arena on March 22nd. So happy birthday to me. I get a shitty card again for my birthday, bastards. That being said, a couple of mixed bag to run the last couple out here. The first one, very, very happy to hear this, and I do not understand why every MMA journalist outlet has not been talking about this more. We got the confirmation of the alliance, I guess you would call it, of Gaia, GAEA, a non-profit women's MMA organization formed by Carol Hossa, Denise Gomes, and Jessica Andrade down in Brazil. They said that at this point, there are just still too many barriers to entry for women to get into the mixed martial arts. And Brazil has always been known for producing top talent. So this is their way of trying to give back to the women of Brazil and get more of them into MMA. And I think it's fucking awesome. So absolute tip of the fucking cap to those ladies. And I hope everything takes off and fucking skyrockets and they help everybody down there become more badass. So good on them, goddammit. We need more happy fucking news in the combat sports world like that. Unfortunately, that is not always the case here. We got word right after that announcement that former champion Alexa Grasso has officially broken her leg in training and will be out for the foreseeable future. No time frame as to exactly when she will be back, but she said that it's going to be a while completely off the leg to let it heal and then have to get back into training. So most likely at least 6 to 8 months, depending on the severity and the exact location of the break. she might be out for a little while. So it doesn't look like we're going to be getting that run back with her and Valentina again anytime soon. Not that we needed it, but just officially speaking, that kind of puts that out of the picture. That being said, I wanted to end on kind of a nicer one here because we had a couple of shitty ones here. And this, again, is one of those stories that I don't understand how more people are not fucking talking about this. Marcelo Garcia, one of the living legends of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, the record holder for most wins in ADCC and IBJJF competitions internationally in the ultimate division, the open weight class, has announced that he is officially coming out of retirement because he beat cancer. He was diagnosed with stomach cancer a few years ago, retired to take care of his health, obviously. Last September, he had his last chemo treatment and was officially cleared in remission. Zero cancer, has had 1 full year now, cancer-free, and has announced he is getting back to competition because it's what he loves and it's what he does. So fuck cancer, kick fucking ass, Marcelo. Glad to see somebody as badass as that, not only beating cancer, but showing that you can fucking do anything you put your fucking mind to as long as you got the determination. This man got through cancer, and what's he want to do? Get right back to fucking competing. So fucking A, Marcelo. Glad to fucking hear it. Fuck cancer. That being said, either one of you gentlemen have anything over there I might have missed this week?
Not that I can think of. You got what I was thinking of.
Good shit. Okay, so that being said, that'll bring us to the point here where if you've been watching combat sports as long as some of us have been watching combat sports, you start to learn the patterns of what you like to watch and when it comes on and how to watch it. And you start to develop a set of metaphorical blinders, if you will. You lose the punchy, kicky forest for the trees, if you will. Luckily for us here on the show, we have ourselves a young person that's out there vigilantly and diligently fingering the pulse of the MMA world to help keep us abreast of all the names that are going to be names before they are names in a little segment that we call Slows, Cans, and Contenders.
Appreciate you, brother. Obviously, like always, you gotta start with the fucking trash. There's a lot of it, even though it's a pay-per-view. It's an MSG. They threw a lot of bullshit on here. We'll start off with the top. Fucking John Jones and Steve Miocic, man. You gotta throw the whole fight in the trash. It's a pretty shit main event. When people are more excited about an almost 60-year-old Mike Tyson, and that's all I'm hearing at work this week is, hey, man, are you watching Jake Paul, Mike Tyson? No, no. Well, I mean, we might tomorrow night in Zoom chat. We might. But don't give a damn about it other than the hope that Mike Tyson actually didn't get paid off and lays a kid out. But yeah, that's sad, right? When people are more excited about that bullshit, 60-year-old Mike Tyson, compared to the main event of a UFC pay-per-view at the end of the year and MSG, saying something. So you got to throw that shit in the trash because apparently the majority of casual fans have already decided to throw that in the trash themselves. You got Mickey Gall and Ramiz Brahimaj. That's a shit fight. I don't understand how Mickey Gall's still in the UFC. Yeah, it's just a big question there. Viviane Araujo, I throw her in the trash. Don't understand why she's in this situation, getting I mean, you want to try to build the young girl, Karini Silva, but that's another rough one. The ladies' fight in general, Veronica Hardy and Eduarda Mora, that's going to be a rough fight, in my opinion. You got Weidman and Eric Anders. You just throw all that shit in the trash. I love Chris Weidman, but that's not going to be a fun fight to watch by any stretch of the imagination. The shit I have on the fence, the Schrodinger's contender, Paul Craig, man. Obviously, he's been on a rough streak of things, and it looks like it's about ready for him to call it quits. Bo Nickel's probably going to run through him. But if he somehow manages to beat Bo and take away from his hype train that he has, oh, hell, yeah, that shoots Paul Craig up. Not really in a contender sense, but it gives him another chance to keep going at the shit. And he's always been a fun fighter to watch. I kind of have Charlie Olives in the same situation, just because obviously if he loses to Michael Chandler, with him being older and shit being a little back and forth for him since he lost the belt, probably towards the end of your career. So I got him on the fence. Fucking wins. Obviously, he's still in the mix for the title, but the actual contenders, you got Bo. That's just obvious. He beats Paul Craig. He's probably getting a top 15 fighter in his next go of it next year. And Karine Silva, she's going to run through Viviane Araújo and just continue to climb her way up those rankings, which is also fun because you got the other Silva girl, Natalia Silva, who's been climbing her way up the rankings as well. So you got two Silva girls working their way up there. Marcus McGee, I'm excited for that kid. I think he's got a good fucking potential to keep climbing his way up. John Martinez definitely is not what you would consider a contender. So I feel like McGee is going to run through him, get himself an ability, crack into the rankings next year. You got David Onama, Kansas City guy, always root for the Missouri guys. Still on this card. They found him a fucking little last minute fill in Roberto Romero. So I feel like Onama's going to have himself a good performance this weekend. Hopefully he gets himself a little step up. Really, the only fight he's looked kind of rough in the past few years was the Nate Landwehr fight, and at least he put on a dog fight. He did get his ass whooped. You got to be honest with that. He gassed out in that fight. He's still got potential. I always root for the Missouri guys. You got Mauricio Rufy. I'm excited for that kid. He's another one of those fighting nerds guys that definitely seems like he's got a lot of potential. He's looked good so far since he came in the UFC. Getting James Lontop kind of filling in short notice. I feel like he's going to look pretty damn good. One fight, I guess you could say, could be good. Basil Hafez versus Oban Elliott. We'll see how it goes, but there's very little to actually be excited about on the majority of this card. I'd like to hear what you boys got to say. I'm sure you'll agree. The majority of it's shit, but there are a few contenders trying to work their way through that toilet bowl.
I'm just trying to figure out where the fucking flush handle is on this thing, because there's a whole lot of shit. I'm afraid it's going to get backed up. You can't. I agree 100%. The main event, absolute fucking trash. A guy who hasn't fought in 4 fucking years. A guy who's ducking the interim champ, who's fought more times than the champ himself, who should technically be the fucking interim champ at this point, or no fucking champ at all. But you suck Dana's dick hard enough, you get away with everything. So yeah, that fight, just throw it the fuck out. I don't honestly care how it comes out. The best thing I can hope for is a double knockout. Neither one gets off the canvas. The title is vacated. Oh, we already have an interim guy? Bam. Unify him right there on the spot. Fuck him. Or even better, somebody falls out with illness tomorrow because of weight cut. Preferably Stipe. And then John Jones has to fight Tom Aspinall. Fuck your ducking, bitch. Look, all credit where credit is due to John Jones. Yes, dominant light heavyweight champ. They finally hit him with you can now throw the old John Jones with the 12-6 elbow, even though we all know it's a useless fucking strike. But as far as a guy who's trying to cement his legacy, you got to unify a title. If that's what you're trying to do, running like a scared little fucking kid just doesn't do it for me. So that fight as a whole, trash it. Co-main event. I don't care about seeing the rematch because we know what's going to happen. Chandler's going to gas himself in the first fucking round. He's going to make a mistake, and Charlie Olives is going to catch him again. That's just how it's going to play out. We know Chandler's going to make it exciting because he's going to swing for the fences. And sure, Charlie might get touched, but he's very good at coming back from being fucking wobbled. Even, God, I hate to say this because I like Bo Nickel, but the Bo Nickel Paul Craig fight, that can go in the trash too. I don't think that that's worth the price of admission for what it is. To be honest, I like that they're giving Bo Nickel somebody with a little more namesake behind him. And to Paul Craig's credit, he's fucking submitted and finished some of the best fighters in the UFC, but he's at the tail end of his career. And it's just not the fight that makes sense to me if you're trying to bolster Bo Nickel, which is what the UFC is trying to do, even though he's only fighting like 1.5 times per year on average at this point, which more active than some other fighters main event. I'm trying my damnedest to find something nice to say about this card, and it's really fucking hard. The best thing I can say is Jim fucking Miller is on the card again. And against Damon Jackson, that ought to be a fucking solid looking fight. To be honest, I'm not expecting Jim Miller to ever win a title at this point, but he's also been a mainstay of the UFC for so long. He's somebody you get excited about, and he's still got the right mindset for the game. I can't even fucking call a Schrodinger's contender this week. It's fucking bad. Mauricio Rufi, yeah, one of those fighting nerds. He's probably my favorite contender on the card, and I'm saying contender loosely in the fucking matchup they gave him, where they're just giving him a freebie. It's kind of like a bingo card. Everybody gets the dot right in the middle. That's how that works. There is a free space for a fucking reason. The only other person I could possibly think, actually, I can't. I have a hard time giving anybody the credit on this card. Don't get me wrong. There are some good fighters on this card, but none of the fights are worth the damn. It's just a fucking ugly shit show. I'm not a fan. I would advise people this week to get a hold of your Uncle Habib and have him teach you how to watch or go to his house and watch it with him. So that way you're not paying for this fuckery. Because to be honest, I'd say go to Buffalo Wild Wings, get yourself some fucking wings and watch the fights there. And at least then you're going to get something that's worth your fucking money. The atmosphere might not be as nice as at home, but at least you'll get something good. I'm just saying the wings are going to be good. Rest of this, it's a big fucking 0.
Yeah, I do agree with quite a bit of that. I will say, as is always the case, there are a few little corn nuggets that we can polish out of this turd that they have dropped on us. But overall, as a whole, just being honest and realistic here, the Big Apple is pretty fucking plastic this weekend. I will give them credit where credit is due. They are pretty consistent. When the UFC goes somewhere that's not the fucking Apex, they try and load those cards with as many locals as they can, and they've got some pretty good fucking locals. Jim fucking Miller fighting here. Mickey Gall is on there. There's some folks that the New York crowd will get stoked about. So the UFC did do decent in that aspect of it. The other side of that coin, though, in terms of a pay-per-view card, realistically speaking, this is a mediocre fight night card overall. This is absolutely not a great pay-per-view worthy card, let alone an MSG once a year iconic fucking show for the UFC kind of pay-per-view card, in my opinion. That being said,
there are still some important nuggets we can muscle out of this here. Oban Elliott. We've been talking about that kid on and off for a hot fucking minute now. Credit where credit is due. Basil Hafez has given his fucking all every time he has gone out there. I just don't think his ceiling is quite as high as Oban Elliott's is in this situation, but he's also a dude who knows how to make fights very fun. That fight being right after Veronica Hardy versus Eduarda Moira, I think is going to be a lifesaver for this fucking card for sure, because there's a lot of you can go get your drinks refilled or do whatever you need to during this card kind of fights on here, but there's a couple real interesting ones as well. Weidman versus Anders. I agree. There really is nothing exciting about that fight, especially knowing that Eric Anders has been susceptible to eye pokes in the past, and he's fighting Chris fucking Weidman in New York. All signs point to ow. Like Marcus McGee, Jonathan Martinez, I agree. Very interesting prospect. Mauricio Hufi versus Lontop. Fighting nerds are trying to fucking take over, man, for damn sure. I do have a Schrodinger's contender this week, though. Jonata Denise. Like, he was supposed to fight Derek Lewis 2 weeks ago, and he looked and seemed fucking ready to step up and take on the Black Beast. And now here, essentially on 2 weeks' notice, he's taking on Marcin Tybura, who is, in my opinion, not nearly the threat anywhere the fight can go that Derek Lewis is. He doesn't carry the power. He doesn't carry the threat anywhere or anytime like the Black Beast does. So I'm curious if we're going to get a Jonata Denise who's coming in here just kind of on cruise control, knowing that he's probably much better than Marcin Tybura, or are we getting a guy who wants to come in and make a fucking statement and force the UFC to rebook that fight with Derek Lewis, that he deserves a big name to come right in and start kicking doors down. So I'm very interested in that fight overall. That being said, like you boys both mentioned, Odama versus Romero. We always work for the Missouri boys here. I always try and give credit where credit is due on short notice fights. Both these guys had to take a brand new fucking fight on 4 days. Tip of the cap for being willing to step up and throw the fucking dice against the wall and see what happens in that situation. My only real massive complaint about this card is the way that they've got it structured. Like, this could have been, like I mentioned earlier, this could have been a great fight night card, but it just kind of ends up feeling like a weak pay-per-view overall. So yeah, like TJ mentioned, for sure, get a hold of your cousin Khabib or take yourself down to B-dubs or something. Don't pay for this pay-per-view. There are fights worth watching, not fights I can honestly tell you that you could shell out $90 and feel good about, though.
That's the goddamn truth. I really hope nobody's fucking paying for this shit this weekend. No different than tomorrow night. That's where it's always nice, especially if you don't have the ability yourself, like you said. Just contact a friend that knows what they need to do. You can watch the fights. Appreciate you, boys.
Thank you very much, sir. Much appreciated. So that'll bring us to the point in the podcast where most shows you watch, you're going to get some bullshit B-roll ad for some fucking product that doesn't have anything to do with the show, or some company that doesn't even watch the fucking show, just trying to get their fucking name out there. And we don't play like that around here. The ImNoJoe podcast is sponsored by viewers like you. Patreon.com/ImNoJoe for as little as $1 a month, helping us do what we do around here. In exchange, we give you, for starters, we put your name on the end of every broadcast that comes across the channel to let everybody know that you're helping us do what we do and how badass you are for doing that. Also, we give you unrestricted access to the unaired and sometimes unairable content, things that may or may not have gotten us kicked off of OnlyFans as a podcast. But we keep them behind the paywall for the folks that actually kick in just a little bit and help us out. And it's worth a buck, I tell you that much. But even if you don't want to give a buck, we understand. We do this free pretty much every Thursday. There are fights to talk about live over on youtube.com/@ImNoJoe. Audio version comes out the week after that because we also own Mirrors at anchor.fm/ I'm No Joe, your podcast consumption platform of choice. Google, Spotify, Apple, you name it, we're everywhere for free if you don't want to contribute. Either way, we're doing a damn thing around here. That being said, before we get to the next segment, because I keep fucking forgetting, I am going to take just a moment here and run through what I like to effectively call the combat sports menu for the weekend. Because yes, while we do run this show along the schedule of the UFC, we don't do it just for the UFC. The vast majority of other combat sports organizations also run their schedule around the UFC. So it just makes it a little bit easier that way. But I like to make a point to let you know that the UFC is not the only game in town pretty much any fucking weekend ever. And this is no exception. So starting first thing bright and early tomorrow morning, if you need combat sports with your coffee, One Friday Fights has you covered. One Friday Fights 87 kicks off at 7:30 a.m. Eastern, 6:30 a.m. Central Standard Time. Stupid fucking early, but it is the other side of the world, so it makes sense. One FC, as we like to say, true multi-discipline MMA cards, 2 MMA fights, 1 kickboxing match, and 8 Muay Thai and 4-ounce MMA gloves on this card. Obviously, the casuals aren't going to know a lot of names. The hardcores are going to know a couple, but if you need combat sports with your breakfast, we got you covered. That being said, a little bit more reasonably later on tomorrow afternoon, 12:30 Eastern, 11:30 a.m. Central Standard, Cage Warriors 180 from the O2 Arena in London, England. This is one of those European UFC feeder organizations. Most of the Cage Warriors champions make their way over to the UFC. There are several active right fucking now. There are still a couple of names on here the casuals are going to recognize. The hardcores are going to know more than average, but unless you're from London, you're not going to know everybody on there. But hey, if you need punchy kicky mimosa time, Cage Warriors got you covered. That being said, tomorrow evening at 8 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Standard Time over on Netflix, Amanda Serrano versus Katie Taylor 2 kicks off, one of the fucking best women's matchups we have seen in boxing in a long time. And from what I understand, Mike Tyson's going to do some exhibition open workout thing after the main event is finished. I'm not going to tell you to watch that, but Katie Taylor versus Amanda Serrano 2 is going to be great fucking boxing tomorrow night if you need something to watch on Netflix. That being said, starting off Saturday, 1 p.m. Eastern, noon Central Standard Time, KSW 100 live from Poland. This is, again, another one of those European UFC feeder organizations. Generally speaking, when guys get to the belt or are very dominant at the top of their division over here, they generally get scooped up by the UFC. So again, another one of these situations. The casuals probably aren't going to recognize many, if any, names, but the hardcores might recognize a name or two. But if you need punchy kicky to get your lunchtime going for Saturday, KSW's got you covered. That being said, the reason for the season, the show that we are here to talk about this evening, the Big Apple itself, UFC 309, live from MSG, Jones versus Miocic, kicks off at 6 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Central Standard Time Saturday, live from New York City. Interesting fights to be had for damn sure on that card. That being said, this will be the point where the podcast has its only segment that requires an individual disclaimer. So if you will, please. Tapology.com does not in any way, shape, or form support, sponsor, or endorse the I'm No Joe podcast. Yet. That being said, Tapology does offer you the option to go onto their website, create a free account, and make fantasy style MMA picks like we do here on the show. They also let you make groups on there. So we made one. It's called ImNoBookie, all one word, or Group 965, however you need to find it. The group is open to the public and you are welcomed and encouraged. Make yourself an account, join the group, and let us know who the hell you are so we can hold your picks accountable with our picks in a little segment that we call Tapology with TJ.
All right, we're back. Now, we're going to hop right into this because we got a lot to talk about here. Last week, Magnum versus Prates. If anybody didn't see the fucking goddamn main event and didn't see that coming, you should probably go back and watch it. Just want to put that out there. You don't got to watch very long because it's over pretty quickly. But overall, group as a whole, did fantastic. Everybody was well north of the 500 mark, except for one fucking guy. But we'll get to him in a minute. Top honors this week go over to Christian, 9 of 11 correct, which is funny because he got 570 points. Donna got 10 of 11 correct, but she also didn't get that extra perfect score in there and a couple of semi-perfects short. So Christian came away with a big W there. Everybody else sitting in nines, eights, except for the one fucking guy who couldn't get north of 500. That would have been Meter. 5 of 11 correct. Somebody saw some weird shit going on in their head. I don't know if he fell and hit his head on the toilet before he made his picks, or maybe he just accidentally slammed his dick in the toilet and wasn't thinking when he made them. But he definitely mutilated those fuckers. Now, all of that being said, overall, like I said, the group did fantastic as a whole. If you add all of our scores up, we were well north of fucking 500 as far as the picks are concerned. That's going to bring us into some odds for this week. And for the most part, as they have been lately, the odds have been pretty fucking coin flippy. There are a few on here that are wider, so I'm going to cover those, but a lot of them are coin flippy. We'll start with one of the mediocre or wider odds is what I'll call them. And that's going to be in the Karine Silva and Viviana Araujo. They've got Silva coming in as a minus 275 favorite over a plus 220 in Viviana Araujo. Not a super wide odds, but it's kind of getting there. Next one down the list here is Risho Rufi and James Linetop or Leon Top. I don't know. It doesn't matter because he's fucked anyways. They got Rufi coming in as a minus 900 favorite over a plus 600 underdog in James there. Makes complete sense. Those fighting nerds are no fucking joke. You didn't know that. You obviously didn't watch last week's main event, and I would suggest again going back and watching that because that'll explain why these odds are so fucking wide. Now, on the short notice fight in David Onama and Roberto Romero, they're giving David Onama a huge favorite right now at a minus 1,000 favorite over a plus 625 in Roberto Romero on short notice. Makes sense. Short notice guy, first time in the UFC. David Onama's been a fucking dog. You really can't fucking miss that too badly. But the widest odds on the card go to none other than Bo fucking Nickel again. Bo Nickel, Paul Craig. The Bear Jew, Bo Nickel. Bo Nickel minus 1,200 favorite over a plus 750 underdog in the Bear Jew. I think those odds are a little wider than they should. Paul Craig's a crafty ass veteran who's had a lot of great work in jiu-jitsu. Now, don't get me wrong, we've seen Bo Nickel finish some people with jiu-jitsu, but he's only a fucking blue belt. Paul Craig is on a different level when it comes to combat jiu-jitsu. Don't get me wrong. We've seen it a lot where wrestling can stop jiu-jitsu, but there's been other times where we've seen jiu-jitsu just fucks up wrestling. But I think in the scrambles, Bo Nickel will have the edge. So it does make sense that the odds are in his favor, but I don't think they should be quite that wide. I'm not telling you to bet on the Bear Jew, but I'm not telling you not to in this case either. Because, like I said, crafty old veteran, he submitted some of the best guys in that fucking division. So it's worth the look at, and possible if you got a $50 bill laying around, maybe throw it on fucking Paul Craig. Plus 750, that's going to win you 325. It's not a bad turnaround. Now, as per usual, do the co-main and main. Charlie Olives, Michael Chandler. Charles Oliveira coming in as a minus 250 favorite. Michael Chandler coming in as a plus 200 underdog. Makes sense considering how the last fight went. To be honest, we know Michael Chandler has a puncher's chance because he will make a fight wild. In as much as I hate to say this, because I'm not the biggest fan of Michael Chandler, he is probably one of the most exciting fighters to watch because he makes fights exciting, whether you want them to be exciting or not. Something crazy will fucking happen one way or another. Either he's going out on his shield or he's gonna put somebody out. There's no in between with him. You know, you're not gonna see a fucking decision fight with him. Now, on to the main event. Womp womp womp. A guy who hasn't fought in 4 years versus a duck. The duck is coming in as a minus 650 favorite over the guy who hasn't fought in 4 years is a plus 450 underdog. To be honest, I'm surprised the odds aren't fucking wider considering somebody hasn't fought in 4 fucking years. If you didn't notice, I'm not mentioning names there on fucking purpose. If you can't figure out who the duck is and who the guy who hasn't fought in 4 fucking years is, you probably ran into the wrong fucking podcast and wondering why you're here listening to us. Now, all of that being said, if you didn't know, Tapology is fucking free to join. Absolutely, doesn't cost a fucking dime. In fact, you can come over, join our group. That's free too. Group 965, ImNoBookie. Come on over, see how you do against us. Let us know who you are if you want us to keep track of you as well. We can tell you when you're doing well and when you're doing like shit, stomping on your dick, slamming it in the toilet seat, running it through a meat grinder, fucking taking the angle grinder to your beef flaps if you're a girl, you know, whatever, we'll tell you. And also, when you do well, you get a slight pat on the back and attaboy, kind of like how Christian got one this week. But we're not going to give huge attaboys unless you get an absolute perfect card and fucking roll everybody on goddamn Tapology. Oh, those are your odds. Remember, come join us on Tapology. It's free. There is one thing I do need to do, though, because I realized I forgot to fucking do it. And then is let you know where everybody was in the Tapology's end of year game that we've got going on right now, our Grand Prix. Right now, Donna is sitting in the number one spot with 1,795 points. Christian not far behind her with 1,675. Just behind Christian, I think the brothers have been cheating off to each other. They've got Vin Dog sitting there at 1565. Myself sitting in the fourth spot at 1430. Then we got a little bit more of a gap here between myself and the meter. The meter sitting at 1175. At the very bottom, fighting for bottom spot here. River Tour at 1145. Only 30 points separating those two. We got a Duke out in the last place. But on the other side of this, we still have 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9 events left on this. So those numbers don't mean shit right now because there's plenty of fucking time. Now, when we start getting down to 4 and 3 events left, that's when people are going to have to start really thinking about their picks and not slamming their dick in toilet seats. No. Again, if you haven't joined us, come over and join us. It's fucking free. If you don't want to tell us who you are when you join the group, that's fine. Just see how you're doing against us. Group 965, ImNoBookie. Tapology's free. I know you motherfuckers like free shit. That's why you're listening on a free platform right now.
Thank you very much, sir. Much appreciated. So, with that being said, this brings us to the point in the podcast where, unfortunately, if you're only listening to the audio version, you might be a little confused because the video viewers will know by the terrifying gif that is rolled across the screen that this is the point in the podcast where we stop being so haha and we get a little less friendly and a little more competitive. This is when we bring things to a little part that we like to call the pit. Ladies and gentlemen, we have got ourselves a matchup this weekend. We were hoping for a different matchup. I reached out several times, several ways, several different channels to try and get a special guest here. But unfortunately, Long Island Luke appears to be afraid to come get this smoke. So that being said, if anybody wants to reach out on our behalf, I feel it would be unprofessional of me to pester Long Island Luke as a fellow broadcaster, but any of the fans, on the other hand, would be perfectly in line if you would want to go over to the main card minute, both here on YouTube
or on Instagram and let them know how much we want to see Long Island Luke come doing dabs and getting in the hot seat, taking on the pit. But that being said, tonight,
Never heard of her. She sounds like a whore.
that being said, though, this evening we are throwing the boys down in the basement and getting down and dirty to it here. We are going to have Golf Tee and Slow Bake go at it. So, gentlemen, are you ready to talk some 309 shit this evening?
Fuck yeah. Let her rip. We already got one hat backwards, guy. I'll stick forward.
All right. So, Christian, you're looking a sleepy, so we'll give you the option. You want to go first, or you want to go second here?
I'll go second.
All right, that's kind of what I thought. So, Golf Tee, that means we are kicking things off with you this evening, sir. So, as we like to do around here to kick things off for round one, on every card, there is inevitably one fight that you have to, within your being, make sure anyone within earshot is paying attention for, because this is the one that's going to be your money fight, the one that's going to make it worth watching through all the other bullshit, the hey ball, get over here fight, if you will. Which fight is that one fight for you this weekend?
I'm not going to take what everybody thinks I'm going to take here, because there is a low-hanging fruit here. And I'm just leaving the bait out there to see if Christian takes it, so I can go, fucking told you. I'm going to go a completely opposite route here and throw everybody the fuck off. Because you know what? I feel like it's that fucking time. And I'm going middle of the fucking pack here. Going my boy, Jim fucking Miller and Damon Jackson. Yes, they're a bit older. They're a bit beat up, but they always put on a fucking great show. And that's one, if you want somebody to fucking learn about MMA and want to get into it, you're going to see some great shit out of those two. That's the fucking fight for me. Definitely not getting the shine. The only shine that fucking Jim Miller got this week was that he got to ring the fucking opening bell at the stock market, which, to be honest, way past over fucking due for him. But why haven't they covered this fight more? You've got a fucking mainstay. Guy fought at 100, 200, 300. He holds so many fucking records in the UFC for fucking time, fights, everything. Just fucking give the man his due and get some more eyes on him to introduce people to the sport.
Definitely a good answer. I definitely think that is one of the better fights that you could have anybody watch on this card for damn sure. So that'll bring us to the other side over here. Over to you, Christian, for our opening round. There is one fight on every card inevitably that you have to make sure everyone watching with you is paying attention for, because that's the one that's going to be the fight of the evening. So in your opinion, which fight is that coming up on 309?
For me, I'm going to go with the bantamweight fight, Marcus McGee versus John Martinez. Not necessarily because it's going to be a back and forth war, just the performance that I feel like McGee's going to make. He's the contender to look forward to the most out of the evening. I think he's going to really earn his spot towards the rankings there. The kid's damn exciting. Feel like he's going to fucking just lay John Martinez out. You don't want to miss that. There's very few moments on this card that we might actually get a finish or a really exciting moment. This is one of those. I feel like you're going to get that. Marcus McGee is one of those kids. He's got pretty fucking solid potential. John Martinez has showed us he does not. So this is going to be a clear fucking one-sided, spectacular performance, in my opinion. We're going to get very few of those. Keep an eye out for this.
Kudos, Christian. I really thought you were going to go the fighting nerds route. You probably thought about it for a second too, didn't you?
The only other one I was thinking about was Oben Elliott and Basil Hafez.
Yeah.
I feel like that one's more on the fence. Could be a sleeper of a fight.
Yeah, no. Good calls on both sides here. Good calls on both sides. Little guys generally do not disappoint no matter how the fights go, and you can't go wrong with Jim fucking Miller. So good answers on both sides, and as you know, we do close scoring here, so we will find out the total come the end. That will bring us to round two. Dun, dun, dun. In round two, we will flip this over onto the other side. So Christian, you get this one first. And as we like to do around here, if every card has one fight that you have to make sure that everyone around you is watching, that means that inversely, every card has one fight that you can pretty much completely fucking ignore. Go do your dabs, crank one out, make love to your old lady, whatever you need to do, refill your drinks. The fight that just generally isn't worth being on the card here. Which one of the non-polishable corn nuggets do you see in this particular turd as that dark horse?
That's a good one because there's a lot of shit here. Uh, shit. I'm gonna say David Onama. I'm gonna go with the Kansas City boy, David Onama. I feel like the same situation a little bit as Marcus McGee. He could literally just go out there like TJ was talking about on his betting lines. The fucking odds are stacked way out of line for a reason. I feel like Onama can go out there and just put on a spectacular performance. And he hasn't been very active lately. It'd be nice to see him go out there and lay this kid out that's coming in on short notice. That's where I'm going to go with it.
Interesting answer indeed. I can absolutely see that. Like we said, short notice fight, and we know what Onama is capable of, but more often than not, when the new guys step in on short notice, it generally doesn't go well for him. So I can absolutely see, as much as we want it to be a great fucking match, I can see that one being either a 15-minute snoozer or a fucking 38-second. Well, we kind of saw that coming. So that'll bring us over to the other side here. Golf T, that brings us back to you. Every card has one fight that you cannot let everyone around you miss. There is inevitably one that just is going to suck dick for loose change, flat out. Which one is the why are we watching this fight for you this weekend?
I'm not even gonna fucking try to act like I'm not gonna fucking take low hanging fruit here. I'm taking low hanging fruit. Fuck it. Chris Weidman and Eric Anders. Look, Chris Weidman only got a fucking win because of an illegal eye poke that he wouldn't fucking admit to. Eric Anders is not your boy. Why this fight's happening, I don't know, other than they probably on their contract they got offered a fight and they had to take it because, well, they both need fucking money. And I'm sure Chris Weidman's still getting paid fucking big money to be in the UFC even after the fucking leg break. So why not back up the dump truck and spill a bunch of fucking money for some bullshit that doesn't need to happen? Both of these boys need to fucking retire. Look, I love Chris Weidman. Fucking, he took out one of the greatest of all time to take off the belt, but not the same guy after he broke his leg. Don't get me wrong. Takes a lot of fucking guts to come back after that. And Eric Anders, he's just not what everybody hyped him up to be. He came into the UFC with a whole bunch of hype behind him and then just fucking belly flopped clean into the pool. There's no fucking other way around it. It's just an ugly fight as a whole. There's no reason that people need to tune in. This is a good time to go rub one out, slap your girlfriend on the ass, maybe go take a shit. It's the perfect break before going into the fucking premiere prelim.
I can definitely agree with that, especially considering we're 309's going back to the old school eye poke friendly gloves, and we know Chris Weidman's secret fucking weapon. So yeah, I can absolutely agree with this fight potentially being on the fucking chopping block for damn sure. So that being said, that'll bring us back around to round three. Golf T, you'll get to kick this one off again here. So round three, we like to talk about the co-main event. In my opinion, more likely to be exciting than the main event, but you never know. So we've got the rematch that no one asked for. Michael Chandler versus Charles do Bronx Oliveira, essentially a potential number one contender fight if there's a big finish going either direction, but also you never fucking know with either one of these guys. So how do you think the co-main event plays out Saturday night?
Well, I said it earlier and I will say it again. The first round is going to go strongly in Michael Chandler's favor. After that, Chandler's fucked. Charlie Olives is going to come back and take it back. The last two losses that Charlie Olives have had is to the current champ who took his belt, and then to the guy who is about to fight for the belt in Unzrugian. I'm just saying, the only guys he's losing to are at the fucking absolute top of the division. Chandler, on the other hand, has sat out for fucking 2 years waiting for a fight we all knew wasn't going to fucking happen. Because somebody's got more money than fucking God at this point, so why come back and fight? As much as he likes to pretend he's going to. So sitting on the shelf for 2 fucking years, yeah, your body gets to heal up, allegedly. But God knows Chandler was fucking training. The dude's a fucking he's an absolute animal as far as fucking just a training machine. You look at that dude and you can tell. He puts himself in uncomfortable positions so that way he can be a little more comfortable in an uncomfortable position, which he's going to find himself getting tapped out in the second round again. Little throat cuddle action's going to happen there. And we're just going to call it a day. It's going to be a repeat of the previous fight. This is the rematch nobody cared to see.
I definitely agree that is kind of how I see it playing out as well, at least for the most part, unless something crazy happens. But you never know. So that'll bring us back across to the other side here. Christian, Michael Chandler, fresh off of his Pout Fest 2023-2024 tour, chasing Conor McGregor's ass back into the rematch that nobody really needed to see, but we're getting it anyway. So do you think this one plays out any differently than the last one? How do you think Chucky Olives and Mikey Chandler play out Saturday night?
I feel like it could play out different, but I don't feel like it's going to play out much different. Because Michael Chandler's not going to fucking do anything different. The dude doesn't matter what his coaches say, what he even says going into the fight. I highly doubt he's changing his game plan. He ain't going to shoot for no takedowns. He's going to go out there like a crazy dumbass and throw to the fucking wind. But he's from Missouri. I always root for the Missouri guys. I am excited for that fight just because it's two guys that, in my eyes, I like to watch fight and will go out there and throw down. It's one of those fights on this card I feel like will be a guaranteed good fight to see. You see somebody get finished. Maybe Mike does get his lucky revenge, but I feel like Charles is overall the better fighter. He's also just getting old. He's been a little bit back and forth couple of times here lately. He's shown more of that, like what we used to see, the dude that might, just kind of quit, not fully quit, just he's easily caught. Like Charles is damn good on the ground. He's even good on the feet, but he's easily caught. And fucking Michael Chandler caught him in their first fight. Could see it. Yeah, I'm cool either way. Whoever fucking wins the fight, I just want to see that. I guarantee think both dudes are going to go out, actually give it their all. But similar to what TJ said, if it gets past the first round, Michael Chandler's already going to be gassed. Charlie Olives still going to have plenty in the tank. Going to have the crowd behind him. We're probably going to see Charlie Olives still keep his ass in the title picture. Somehow Michael Chandler gets the win. Yeah, Uncle Dana's going to gift him a fucking title shot next year. Is going to be a hilarious sight to see. Sit your ass out for a couple of years trying to fight Conor McGregor and you get a title shot. It's a weird gift to get. That's really, really weird reward, but hopefully we're rewarded with a good performance from Charlie Olives and Michael Chandler. Hopefully at least goes out there like a Spartan, goes out on his shield, and give us a decent fight just like he's been talking about.
We can fucking hope, man. We can fucking hope for damn sure. I don't know. We'll see how things shake out, but man, whoo, Chucky's dangerous, and we've seen it. So we've already seen this dance once. Let's see if it changes this time with a different location. So that being said, that'll bring us to round 4. Flipping things back over on their head. Christian, you'll get this one first here. Round 4, as we like to do. Unfortunately, this time we have no choice but to talk about the Duck versus the Senior Citizen. John Jones versus Stipe Miocic is unfortunately our main event Saturday night from MSG, so we got to talk about it. Should everything go to plan and the cage door actually closes with John and Stipe facing off, how do you think this plays out Saturday evening?
One of two ways. I'm either going to be happy because Stipe Miocic does what I want Mike Tyson to do tomorrow night, knocks the fuck out of this piece of shit that I've hated for over a decade, or we get the piece of shit stinking it up and getting a boring ass fucking win, because I don't feel like he's going to be able to finish Stipe the way that he would other guys. He doesn't seem to give a fuck anymore. He's literally Conor McGregor. He's just trying to get another paycheck. He seems like he's already been checked out. He's trying to make up his own bullshit. Try to get him fired up a little bit. Oh, he said, bring it on, bitch. Oh, he called me a bitch. Oh, now it's personal. You're the bitch. You ducking Tom Aspinall, and because the dude says bring it on, bitch, now we're gonna fucking act like that's something to be pissed off about when your coke-headed ass is acting like you've acted your whole career. Get out of here. It's so it's like one grandpa fighting another grandpa. It actually feels worse to me than Mike Tyson, almost 60 years old, about to be boxing tomorrow night. I just feel like it's a shit show unless Stipe somehow, whether he's fucking been out for 4 years or not, the dude's still got knockout power. And I still feel like he's a tough motherfucker, a badass. He's still a fucking firefighter, still works out, still fucking trains, gets that fucking one punch. I'm going to be a happy dude. That's all I can say. It's all I can hope for. Hope that that fucking lucky shot. You know, I remember one of the embeddeds, his coach was saying John likes to keep his head down a lot. So look for the fucking uppercut. That's exactly what I'm hoping for. A motherfucker shoots for a takedown, or just like he always does when he's striking, he fucking drops that head and he just cracks with the uppercut. Either way, though, I don't think either one of them's fighting anybody else, let alone Tom Aspinall. Whoever the fuck wins this is just gonna retire. But if John wins, he's gonna string that shit out before he actually admits that he's retiring. He's just going to hold on to shit, hold it hostage as long as he can. Sad days.
Yeah, no, I am definitely inclined to agree. I don't think either one of them are going to fight Tom, no matter what the fuck Dana says, no matter how much money they back up to their house. I don't think either one of those guys are going to fight Tom. So we'll see. We'll have to hope for the best in this situation, unfortunately. So that'll bring us back across the octagon here to you, Golf T. It's not what any of us really wanted. It's not what any of us are really looking forward to. But it is unfortunately the main event Saturday night. So when the cage door closes, who walks out with the strap still on their shoulder? Is it the Duck or is it the Senior Citizen?
To be honest, the best thing we can hope for is that Stipe falls out during weight cut. Tom Aspinall makes fucking title weight as the backup, takes it in the backup, and beats the ever-living shit out of John Jones. However, that's in a perfect world. This isn't a perfect world, unfortunately. Look, you got a guy who his last win was against a current UFC commentator. That was his last fucking win. 2020. And it's been over 4 years ago since that fight. Then he gets knocked out by a guy who's not even in the UFC anymore, out making fucking millions. How does he get a fucking title shot? Hasn't fought in almost 4 fucking years. And is getting a fucking title shot over an interim champ who is 10 times better than Miocic. I like Stipe. As a human being, he's a fantastic fucking human being. He's going out saving people's lives on the daily at his regular fucking job. He's got a regular fucking job along with being a professional fighter. To that, all the kudos in the world. But you haven't fought in 4 fucking years. Yeah, we know this fight was supposed to have taken place quite a while ago, but somebody decided to rip their fucking peck off while they were grappling, which also tells you John Jones is fucking old. When shit like that starts happening, that's when you know you're fucking old. But the duck has been ducking the true fucking not hindering of his legacy. If you're going to duck the interim champ, you're not cementing your legacy by fighting a guy who hasn't fought in 4 years. You're just taking again the free space on the bingo card. Look, people might not say ring rust is real, and it might not be, but being out of the cage for almost 4 fucking years and not having an actual fight in almost 4 years, there's going to be some rust. There's going to be some fucking adrenaline dump. As much as I hate to say this, John's going to walk out with a fucking victory again. And then the duck is going to duck some more. And he's going to go fly fucking south for the winner. And hopefully, if we're lucky, there's going to be a duck hunter laying out some nice little white bread in really tiny crumbs for that fucking duck to pick up. Yes, wink, wink. You know what I'm saying. Then they fucking just off him right there on the spot. Because I'm sure there are plenty of cops that would love to just fucking take him into custody. But the unfortunate part about that is he'll get away with it a fucking again. Because, can't take away Dana's cash cow. To be honest, I hope this is the worst selling pay-per-view in the last fucking decade. I'm honestly telling people to go see Uncle Khabib. Go to Buffalo Wild Wings where you're not paying for this because this is not worth your money. This is an absolute travesty, and they've stolen from both the fans and the legitimate champion of the division. That's right. There's only one legitimate champion of the division, and he's not fighting this weekend. He's not on the card. He's the fucking backup. Much as I hate to say it, I'm pretty sure the Duck takes this away, and then he's going to do one of 2 things. He's either going to retire, or he's going to hold the belt hostage for probably a year and a half or more, and then relinquish it, so that way he can get a different fight, because that's what Ducks do.
Yeah, no, I think you might be onto it there. And it's not good, but I think it is definitely the most likely outcome, I think would be the best way to phrase that. So that being said, there is a poll up in the chat. If you are watching this live, go vote who you think won. It doesn't really matter in the long run because the scores are made up and the points don't matter, but go vote because it's fun. That being said, this brings us to round 5 here. So Christian, you got to decide who goes first, so I will let you decide which of the post-it notes of fate you guys choose. So Golf Tee, you can decide for round 5 here who goes first and who goes second.
I'll go first. Since he wants to go second all the time and play number 2 to my number 1, we'll let that keep happening.
Okay, so Golf Tee is going to step up first. So Christian, there are 2 post-it notes left on the billboard here. Would you like number 1 or number 2?
Number 2. Sticking
right.
with it.
Giant piece of shit.
Ooh, this is a good one. All right, Golf Tee, so you are up first, sir. Who will be the first champion to fill their belt with rubies?
For fuck's sakes. Dude, that's a fucking tough one. That really is a fucking tough call because you've got some guys who looked like they had a shot at doing it really quickly, like Alex Pereira, but then he got fucking knocked out by fucking Izzy.
Yep.
So they're winning a chance at a Ruby. Don't get me wrong, he's added a couple since then, but that's a whole different belt once he regained a new one.
Yeah.
As much as I hate to say this, it's probably right now Islam Makhachev. And I don't like to say that. And I would say in a close second would possibly be Ilya Taporia, but he hasn't fought Diego Lopez yet. And Diego Lopez is fucking, he's coming hard.
Yeah.
There, I can't even say any of the fucking women are gonna fill it out first either, because there's Valentina, she's been beat. She didn't get to fill it up.
Yep.
She was getting there, but she got to restart. And it's that she went directly to jail. Do not pass code. Do not collect $200. And I'm not the fucking women's bantamweight division. There's nothing in it, so it's not even fucking worth talking about. And I don't see Drickus doing it either, because there's a whole lot of motherfuckers that are on the come up right now that are coming after him that I don't know that he's going to be able to stick with. And as much as I hate to say it, it might be fucking Hamzat that takes it from him, or even another one of the fighting nerds. It's a possibility out there right now. I think Islam is probably the best lock right now, because a lot of those guys that are in the top 10 are starting to get up there in age, and you know, it's going to be a hard push for them.
Definitely a good answer for sure. Definitely a good answer. I think and I agree. I don't like to say it, but I think realistically speaking, he probably does have one of the better chances to fill his belt, depending on how prepared Armin really is. But we'll see soon enough on that case. So that brings it back over to you, Christian. Round 5. Who is going to be the first UFC champion to fill their belt with Ruby Stones?
After what we saw a few weeks ago, Ilya knocking Max out, I really fucking think that kid's got a chance because of how young he is, especially if he gets through Lopez. He'll probably do it, but I'm going to go with Alex Pereira. That's just the easiest and most obvious one for me. He's already defended the fucking belt 3 times since he got the light heavyweight belt. He was champion at middleweight beforehand. Yeah, Izzy fucking got it back. But this dude is dominant in this division. There ain't nobody in this division fucking beating him after he's already gone through the guys that he's gone through the way he's gone through them. Ankalaev's not fucking getting through him. So that's just going to be number 4. And we might get that heard during the press conference today. Dana's like talking about he's going to make an announcement tomorrow for the main event at the end of the year. That might just be the main event. Alex Pereira whooping Ankalaev's ass, getting one more in before we even get into next year. Then he's got 4 fucking defenses under his belt already. You only need 4 more to fill the shit up. You're probably going to get that next year. That's the easiest and most honest. He's been so fucking active. The dude's so fucking good. And unless he tries to go up to heavyweight, tries to do a 4th fight with Izzy, winds up fighting like champ versus champ against Drickus, fights John Jones. Any one of those giant super fights have been floated around. Those are the only ones. Maybe he loses. Feel like he easily beats Drickus. Feel like he actually gets to fight John Jones. He's knocking that motherfucker out. The dude's something else. He's the superstar of the UFC now. Fuck John, fuck Connor. Those dudes are old. They're washed up. Even if Poetan's getting up there in age, I think he's the first one that's going to get that shit done. Dude's already done special shit. I think he's going to continue to do some more.
I can definitely agree with that as well. Poetan literally made history this year. He set the record for the shortest time for 3 title defenses for 172 days.
That's serious. Like, that is very fucking serious. 3 championship camps in less than half a year. That's not anything to sneeze at. I absolutely agree. That is definitely a name to be contended with. So, all right, let me end the poll in the chat here and do some math and carry the 1 and cross out the T and dot my I. And all right, we've got ourselves a winner here. So, as you folks know, we do close scoring. So, we'll bring it up. Golf T started strong. Christian came back to fight it. But in the end, Golf T takes it in round 5 by just the slightest of margins. I agree, Alex Pereira is a definite potential, but like Christian himself mentioned earlier, the fighting nerds are on their fucking way up. And if Islam don't do it, there's plenty of fucking guys from the fighting nerds who have damn good potential to come behind him. That being said, personally, I was more inclined to think a name that not many people might think, but I think the first one to fill their belt could potentially be Tatsuro Taira. I think he genuinely is that good. I just think he hasn't gotten there quite yet. Understandably, he had a little growing to do with that Royval fight, but I think that's just going to make him that much better. And I think by the time he gets to that belt, he's going to be a big fucking problem for anybody they put across from him. That being said, Islam is the man running the fucking 155 division undeniably right now. And like TJ said, the vast majority of, I'd say the top 15 are, I would say probably at least half of the top 15 are, if not 1 foot out the door, looking at the door with their hand reaching out already at this point. So he's got plenty of layups if he gets past Armin to be able to potentially fill that belt up. That being said, though, congratulations, Golf T. You have pulled it off this evening. Well played to both of you, gentlemen. You're both gentlemen and scrotums. Tip of the cap to you. With that said, that is all we've got for this particular episode. Thank you, everyone who tuned in. But as you may or may not know, when we wrap things up around here, that is not the end of the fun, because tomorrow morning and pretty much every Friday morning, this gentleman, wait, where's he at? No, he's over there. He's over there this time. Yeah. That gentleman right over there and his partner kick off their very own podcast, the Slow Bake and Contemplate podcast, available to you over on Spreaker.com. Links to that down below, as well as their social media and their page, or excuse me, their channel over on the I'm No Joe Discord server. Make sure you go over and check that shit out and tell them how awesome they are.
Appreciate you, brother. Fucking fun never stops. Once you get back around to the best day of the week, hump day, brother's been back. Gotta tune in Wednesday night around 9:30 on TJ's fucking YouTube channel. Tune into the Foggy Fairway on Golf T Vape's YouTube. Make sure you pop in, show the brother some love. If you're into the vapes, you want to learn some new recipes or mixes, that's the place you want to be. All of his shit should be down in the description as well. Links to everything the brother does.
Thank you, sir. Now, if you guys aren't aware, there is a lot that can be watched if you have some downtime, because there's a long time between Thursday, Friday, and Wednesday. Meter does many things, way more than just one. In fact, the links are down below. There's Linktree/The Meter Does Many Things and Linktree/I'm No Joe. Those two will take you to all of the many things that the meter does do to fill that time gap between fucking Friday and Wednesday, and then right back off to the fucking races. You got something Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, but you need something Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. Go check out all of those many things the meter does do.
Much appreciated, sir. Thank you very much. That being said, in case you folks do not know, there is no show next weekend. We finally get a single week break for Thanksgiving. We will be back in 2 weeks to talk about that UFC Macau card coming up. But that being said, that is all we have got for this particular episode. So if you like what we get up to around here, please make sure you give us a thumbs up and you are subscribed with your notifications turned on, whatever platform you're consuming this on. If you're watching it on YouTube, look at your little thing down there. Smash that like button. That should have made it glow or do some sparkly thing, I'm told. Cool. cool. I don't know. Maybe not. If you like it, good shit. We appreciate you. Make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss an episode, and tell your friends. We'd like to grow this damn thing if we could a little bit. But on the other side of that coin, if you don't like what we get up to around here, first and foremost, what the fuck are you still doing this deep into a podcast you didn't enjoy? Give it a thumbs down and then go fuck yourself. We won't even dispute it. That being said, that is all we've got for this particular episode. So until next time, boys and girls, remember, don't let ignorance stop you. You can root for anything.
Everybody was kung fu fighting. Those kids were fast as lightning. In fact, it was a little bit frightening. How do I say goodbye?